We met, we hung out, we got on, then we argued, we fell out, then we made up, and now we're the best of friends. Yes, me and the 1/48 scale Bristol Beaufort from ICM. Catch the latest episode of the build right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi there, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel and welcome back. If you've been here before, today is the third and final part of the build of the Bristol Beaufort in 1/48 from ICM. We left it last time with the aircraft pretty much built but ready for paint, so I've painted it white. I've then added extra dark sea grey to the upper wings and to the top of the fuselage. I don't think you really need to see me spray large areas of plastic very much. So after that, I'll put on the decals now. I'll start on the detailing, bit of weathering, bit of generally messing around, and of course, putting it all together to make the final plane. Now, if you enjoy the show, I hope you do, please remember, Imperial thumbs up on the like button below. And if you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and you'll be notified of new videos as they arrive. And of course, you can go through the back catalogue. And if you want to give a bit more concrete support for this project and for future projects, you can do that through Super Thanks or any of my many online partners. So let's get on then. We now have a white and extra dark sea grey shell. Let's see how we turn this into a beautiful Bristol Beaufort. Now, with the whole model given a coat of gloss or satin varnish, can start putting the decals on. This is my favourite bit, as you'll probably know, because this is where an aircraft's character really starts to come together, and the schemes really lift up when you've got some extra colour from the decals. So there's one gets out the end here somewhere. I'm going to put it about, so it's got to clear the aileron, so go right up against the aileron, and I think it meets up against this joint in the front of the wing there. So that's where I'm going to put it. Gives me a reference also to the other side, exactly the same, of course. And I'll just crack on. There aren't that many decals on this aircraft and stencils and stuff, which is a blessing, let's be honest, and I'll see you in a moment. While I'm waiting for the decals to dry, I'm going to put in the mid-upper turret. And I'm also going to put in this fairing that sits over the back. It's like aerodynamic fairing. As aerodynamic as it can get anyway. Like so. Right, whilst everything is chilling out and setting and drying and whatever else it has to do, I'm going to start making the payload, the torpedo. All of the torpedo and the carriage come on this one sprue. So we'll cut the torpedo body out first and then some other parts, and I'll show you how they all go together. So first of all, the main torpedo body comes in two halves that just clip together. There are some alignment pins. They just clip together, and we'll clamp those up, and you run some extra thin glue around them. Then there are the two propellers. This is the tail unit. Now there are two tail units, by the way. There's this one, which is just for the torpedo, and this is for the air dropping torpedo. This is a fin on the back that when you drop the torpedo, the fin keeps it at the right angle of attack going into the water. Then this extra fin sort of pops off when it hits the water. So if this is like being loaded onto the aircraft, it will have this. If it's just a torpedo being pushed around in a diorama, it doesn't need it. Anyway, make sure you put these the right way round and the right ones on first. So there's one with a smaller centerpiece goes on the back, and then one with a slightly larger centerpiece goes on next. Contra-rotating propellers, because that gets rid of any torque action, just like on an aeroplane. And then the whole assembly, you jiggle it about because it won't go on very easily, I'm sure. I'll try it like that. There's a central pin that you put the propellers on, goes into a hole in the back of the torpedo, and then the fins, the torpedo fins, fit around the side of the torpedo. There we go, like that. So that's the torpedo rear assembly. Just glue it all in place, and once it's done, there are little side fins to go on here as well to complete the torpedo. What I wanted to do with the engines here was just give the impression of maybe engines that have seen better days. You know, this is an aircraft that was worked hard by operational squadrons, and I think by the time it got to training, some of these were probably a little bit ropey. I mean, no, they were safe in that they would fly and they'd bring their crew back, but you know, not absolutely factory pristine fresh. So what I've done is I've got just some engine oil. I just sort of a few dabs of that on, and then just a bit of thinners, just push it around a little bit, just to make it look like this engine's maybe had a little more servicing on it, a little bit more. Can we get this flying for the morning on it? Then maybe was absolutely good for it. But look, you know, bottom line is aircraft in the rules are different. You know, an aircraft that was perfectly acceptable in wartime is perfectly condemnable as unfit to fly any other time. So just put bits of like oil and oil streaks and just a few bits and pieces around, just to make it look like it's maybe a little bit leaky, a little bit. Oh, it'll be all right, sir. Don't worry, it'll fly. Just you know, it's fine. She just loses a little bit of oil now and again, just to make it look really used. And also because these are based in Scotland, the greatest possible respect to my friends up in Scotland. The weather can be a little cruel, especially if you're by the sea. There's going to be a lot of corrosion going on here, so I'm going to add a little bit of like tiny little hints of like rusty look to some of these joints on the wings, and also a couple of little spots of flecks of chipping, I guess. But anyway, I'll get to work on that, and I'll show you what it looks like later on. So to recap then, what I've done is I've used the engine oil wash over the marks here and on the edges of the cooling fins here, and then just sort of evened that out a bit with a bit of thinners. I've just dabbed a little bit of rust around the inlet here just because I can. I've dabbed a load of iron oxide over the metal here to dull that down, and then I've added some smoke trails here with some smoke powder. I'll just get on and do a little bit of what looks like chipping next. That's the technique. I'm sure this wouldn't pass muster at a championship or anything like that, but I just like to add just little drizzles of paint here and there. Yeah, it's a tricky thing. Chipping is I've got chipping solutions and stuff like that. I've never used them yet. One day I will, no doubt. But for the moment, I just like to add little bits of chipping. Someone reminded me not long ago, chipping happens over roundels as well, so a little bit of chipping over the roundel. If you mess up, just go back and paint over it again. Touch it up and redo it. This is an acrylic paint, so you can just maybe loosen some of it off a little bit. But you know, it's not. You just do what you like. Do what you can, and as much as you like. You know, if you want to make this look really worn, then put a load of aluminium on. Instantly, I'm using the Dural, that metal colour here. It's a slightly darker aluminium, so it's not quite so like in your face when it comes up. But I like it. I like it as a. Actually, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that whole panel, whole front of that panel, and that one too. Lost some paint. There we go. Actually, that looks pretty cool. There we go. And just that's what we do. I can push on now with some more final build, maybe, and the flaps are going to go in next. There's a couple of location holes for them, and they just need to be pushed in. Alright, so now if you're doing the flaps separately from the plane, you know, painting them and all that, it's always worth just double checking the alignments just to get some of this this engine smoke trail roughly in the right place. And I give it just a little fleck of like a little sweep of rust from the front edge there, just to show that it sort of occasionally gets some airflow that's quite damp and a bit corrosive on it. I'm going to put together the I was going to say bomb doors. I suppose technically they are bomb doors or torpedo bay doors, whatever they are. Oh, fuck. I put together the bomb doors or torpedo bay doors or whatever they call them. There we go. Like that, and then just get a little dab of, because what they've done is they've sort of concertinaed open, so they sit in like that. And now for the tail wheel. Now the tail wheel post goes into a hole in the top of the tail wheel bay, and there's a couple of small pegs on the side near the top here that sit into a couple of holes. Now you remember this should have gone in right at the beginning when we closed up the two halves, but we cut out the holes for this so they were just sort of like half moons. So the peg sits in place in the top of the wheel bay, and these half moons are sort of supporting the middle of the leg, and that has worked very, very well. And then onto this main gear that has been such a trouble and a worry for all this time, and it just goes in so easily, just sits in without any fuss, without any bother, finds its own space really, and that's that. done. How easy is that? Then of course we have the main gear doors. Now there are a couple of big tabs on the side there for these doors to sit into. Very easy to position, and they sit there very nicely indeed. No problems at all with these. And then of course the whole point of this aeroplane, the torpedo. It sits into its cradle, and the rear just sits slightly proud of the fuselage, and the front just needs to sort of snuggle down into the bomb bay itself. The propellers sit onto the drive axles we put on, oh, such a long time ago now, when we were building the engines. There's a small hole on the front you can see there, but there's a small plastic dowel that needs to go into this hole. This sort of helps position the spinner. So the dowel goes in first and then the spinner on top. Then with putting the rest of the nose canopy back on with its machine gun, go around making sure we've put all the aerials, final touch up of paint, and our Beaufort is done. And there she is finished, the Bristol Beaufort in 1/48th scale from ICM. Do you know, it's a kit that a lot of the times is really on your side. The fit is lovely, the detailing is good, the panel lines are nice and easy to pick out. The undercarriage and the engines are complicated, and you just need some patience, real patience to get through them. But if you do, it's a lovely kit. Is it a great kit? Do you know, it's bordering on it. Would I make another one? Absolutely, yes, I would. There we have it. What a kit. Ups and downs are plenty. If you've seen the other two videos in particular, you'll understand what I mean by that. But you know what? Absolutely a rewarding kit to build, a good kit to build of a very underestimated aircraft, and it ultimately goes together very well. I think there's parts you can decide whether you want to pick them up and do them or just leave them out. Entirely up to you. Some of the more complex areas. The undercarriage, your option is to have it wheels up or wheels down. I'm afraid that's all there is. If you have it wheels down, just persevere. That will be the most possibly annoying and most difficult thing to do, but it's achievable. It's not impossible. Trust me, I'm no genius. It's absolutely possible to build this, and once it's put together, the wheels slot into the wings like you won't believe how easy they went in. So that's all from me. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have in the main. Please remember, Imperial thumbs up on the like button if you have, and if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and get notifications of new videos when they come out. I hope I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.